Hi, this is Dana Utrosky. I'm an education consultant with Educate Regenerate, and I wanted to talk really quickly today about all of the options that are available to families right now for their child's education and helping them to wade through the mess of information and really choose an option that is the best for your situation and for your family. There's a lot of movement right now towards creating pandemic pods or maybe forming homeschool co-ops, especially as a lot of schools are moving towards virtual learning. Families are looking at how to support their children doing virtual learning at home or in a hybrid setting. There's a lot of other options or combinations of those, and so but it can be really confusing for a family, especially if they're new to any type of alternative setup for learning, to really decide what's the best option for them and what their capacity is to try something new. And so I've got two resources to help families to really do kind of like a baseline assessment of where they are, what their capacity is, what their needs are, to help steer this conversation, to help you make the right choice for your family. And so starting off, we're just looking at resources that your family has and thinking beyond just money and tangible resources, and really looking at your capacity to try something new and different. If you find that you have abundance in so many of these areas, then maybe you are in a great situation to try something new and experiment and like ride those waves of a little bit of chaos and flexibility and see where it goes. But if you are really just kind of like keeping it together right now, as so many people are in this time of the pandemic, if you don't have an abundance in some of these areas, then maybe you want to really focus on just taking care of your immediate needs and reaching out to your network instead of trying something really big and new. And so the resources that you might want to consider are obviously your financial situation, your money, because especially if you're going to be hiring tutors or teachers, or if you're enrolling your child in some sort of program, or if one of the parents needs to take time off of work to be home with the child, these are all financial questions and considerations. Other things to consider are the skills and knowledge that you bring. And this isn't just your knowledge of an academic subject. It could be, can you cook? Can you build things? Are you handy? Are you really good at organizing and bringing people together? These are all really valuable skills right now as families are trying to come up with creative solutions. Next is also to consider your time. Do you have a lot of time on your hands, or are you working full-time and is your partner working full-time? Because those are two really big important things to think about. Also is to consider the space that you have available, if either in your own home or backyard, or friends and neighbors or family who might have space that you could use. We're also looking at the materials and supplies. So obviously this includes things like paper and pens and workbooks, but also books for the children to read, art supplies, sporting equipment, furniture, like a table and a desk, or in chairs, technology if they need to use a computer or a tablet for their work. Also thinking about those canopy tents. Those are really popular right now for people who are setting up learning spaces outside. The next one is one that people might often overlook, which is your emotional resilience. So thinking about, how much emotional capacity do you feel to take on challenges, try things that are difficult, and maybe be in some stressful kind of new situations. A lot of people right now are feeling very drained emotionally with all of the instability and change and lack of connection. And so absolutely no judgment if you find that you are really low in that area. But if you are like energized and really excited about trying something new, then you have pretty high emotional resilience, which is wonderful. Next is looking at the connections that you have. Maybe you don't have a lot of these other resources, but maybe you have connections to people or organizations that do. And then lastly is your physical health and ability. So this is looking at your physical health, but also everyone in your family. And what are your needs? Are you high risk people for the virus? If so, you really need to think about what types of safety precautions you need to take. And also just thinking about your physical ability to chase after kids, or maybe just to be their main tutor or childcare provider for X number of hours every day. If you're working full time on top of that, you might not physically have the stamina to hold up with that. And so these are 8 different resources for you to consider as you're doing your family assessment. And you might find that you are really high and abundant in certain places and lower in others, which is totally fine. This is just kind of a way for you to determine your capacity and how much change and risk you're willing to embark on right now. And you might also find, if you're cooperating with other families, that areas that you're really high on, others are really low on, and vice versa, and you can share resources in that way. The last resource I want to share with you is an assessment of your child as a learner and as a person, looking at their cognitive, so their learning needs, emotional, social, and physical needs, and what kind of environment and learning method and activities are they really going to thrive with. And a lot of this is probably information you already know just from raising this child, but there's also a few quizzes that I've offered to help you gain a bit more insight. So first is the learning style quiz, and this helps you learn if your child is an auditory, visual, or kinesthetic learner. Usually they're a combination, but there might be a dominant learning style. And so auditory learners learn best when they hear things. Visual learners thrive when they can see something, either printed or in a video or a demonstration. They also really thrive with diagrams and models and things like that. And then kinesthetic learners are learners who really need to physically embody what they are learning about. And so this might mean acting something out, or engaging in like movement while they are learning something. They might really enjoy using like little manipulatives as their like to count for math or to trace their reading, or they might just need fidget spinners or something like that to concentrate, or maybe they just need really frequent breaks to go burn some steam. And then there's also the color personality quiz, which is based on the True Colors assessment, but this is a child-friendly version, and it gives you 4 different colors that you or your child might be, and it gives you an idea of their strengths, their areas of improvement, and also like their preferences, and just kind of an insight into how their mind works, which is really interesting. I always really enjoy offering this quiz to people and seeing what they get. People really enjoy it. And so using what you already know about your child, and then talking to other adults who know your child well, talking to your child is very important, because they might offer some insight that you were not aware of. And then trying out these 2 little quizzes to get some ideas about what kind of environment does my child learn best in, what types of activities, what kind of learning style would they really appreciate. Is virtual learning a good fit for them? Some kids really thrive in that kind of environment, whereas other kids really struggle. Does my child need to be moving around a lot? Do they need lots of social and emotional interaction? One other thing to consider is if your child is receiving any type of services from the school right now, or they have in the past, such as special ed or speech or occupational therapy, or like individualized reading instruction, those are really important services for you to try to maintain and be consistent with. And so whether you can access those resources through the school as you were before, or if you feel confident doing that work yourself, it's just very important that the children have some consistency in receiving those services. And so that's another thing for you to consider. And so this is just a really easy way for you to start to generate those questions and that conversation with your family and really gain some insight to help clarify the direction you want to go with. And so these are just 2 quick resources that I hope you find helpful, and I'm looking forward to working with a lot more families in the future as we get closer to the school year to offering more support. And so I wish you luck as you go through these, and please